I still remember the exact second everything shattered. Not with shouting, not with tears, just her calm voice across the dinner table. My girlfriend said, "I'm not cutting off my ex. You need to accept that." I nodded. "All right." She smiled, relieved. "See? I knew you'd be mature." I added, "I'll just remove myself from this situation." She frowned. "Remove yourself how?" I replied, "You'll understand soon. I'm 35, and I've been in my fair share of relationships. Enough to know what's normal and what's a red flag dressed up as friendship." We'd been dating for about 14 months when this conversation happened. Things had been good, or so I thought. We had our own places but spent most nights together. The kind of relationship where you start talking about future plans without it feeling forced. Her ex was always there though, in the background. Little comments here and there. "He texted me something funny today. He's going through a rough time, so I'm just being supportive." I tried to be understanding at first. I'm not the jealous type. I believe exes can be friends under the right circumstances. But the circumstances weren't right. It started bothering me about 3 months ago. The frequency of their contact increased. Late night texts that she'd laugh at while we were watching TV, lunch meetups that she'd mention casually like they were no big deal, phone calls that she'd take in another room because he needs advice about something personal. I noticed she'd check her phone constantly when we were together. At dinner, during movies, even during conversations. Her attention was always divided. I'd be telling her about my day and she'd glance at her phone mid-sentence. When I'd pause, she'd look up and say, "Sorry, what?" with this distracted smile. Last Tuesday I finally brought it up. We were having dinner at her place. She'd made this pasta dish she knows I love, and her phone kept buzzing, every time she'd glance at it and smile. "Is that him?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "Yeah, he's telling me about this thing that happened at his work. It's actually hilarious. You talk to him a lot." She put her fork down. "Is this going to be a thing?" "I'm just noticing a pattern. We're friends. I've told you this. Friends don't text each other at 11 o'clock at night multiple times a week. He's going through stuff. I'm being supportive." "What kind of stuff?" "Personal stuff. He's struggling with some things. And he can't talk to anyone else about it?" She crossed her arms. "Why are you being like this?" "Like what? Concerned that my girlfriend is more emotionally available to her ex than to me? That's not fair. I'm plenty emotionally available to you. Are you? You? Because lately it feels like I'm competing for your attention." She sighed. One of those long, dramatic sighs that's meant to communicate how unreasonable I'm being. "I'm not cutting him off. He's important to me. You need to accept that." I sat there for a moment, looking at her. Really looking at her. And I realized something. She'd already made her choice. She was just waiting for me to fall in line. "All right," I said quietly. She seemed surprised by my calm response. "Really? Just like that?" "Yeah." I accept it. She smiled, visibly relaxed. "See? I knew you'd be mature about this. This is why I love you. You're so understanding. I'll just remove myself from this situation." Her smile faded. "Remove yourself how?" "You'll understand soon." Update 1. The conversation ended awkwardly after that. She kept pressing me on what I meant, but I just said I was tired and needed to go home. She seemed confused and maybe a little worried, but she let me leave. I drove home in silence, my mind clearer than it had been in weeks. I wasn't angry. I was just done. There's a difference between jealousy and recognizing when you're not a priority. I'd been trying to convince myself that her relationship with her ex was innocent, that I was being insecure. But I wasn't insecure. I was being disrespected. When I got home, I sat in my car for 10 minutes just processing everything. The apartment building was quiet, lights flickering in various windows, other people living their lives, dealing with their own problems. I wondered how many of them were in relationships where they felt secondary, optional, like a convenience rather than a choice. I went inside and made a decision. I wasn't going to fight for her attention. I wasn't going to compete with her ex. I was just going to quietly extract myself from the situation and let her figure out what she'd lost when it was too late. Wednesday morning, she texted me. "Are you mad?" I replied, "No." "Then what did you mean last night?" "Exactly what I said." "That's not an answer." I didn't respond. She called me during my lunch break. I let it go to voicemail. She called again an hour later. Voicemail. Again. Then came a string of texts. "Can we please talk? You're freaking me out. Did I do something wrong? Why are you being like this?" I went about my day as normal. Worked, ran errands, grabbed groceries. Every mundane task felt lighter somehow, like I was shedding weight I hadn't realized I was carrying. That evening, I went to the gym instead of going to her place like I usually did on Wednesdays. Worked out for 2 hours, came home, made dinner, watched a movie, alone. It felt good. Peaceful. No phone buzzing constantly, no divided attention, just me and my own thoughts. She texted at 9 p.m. "Are you coming over?" Me. "No. Not tonight." Her. "Why not?" Me. "I have some things to take care of." Her. "What things?" Me. Just stuff. Her. This is because of last night, isn't it? I didn't respond. Update 2. Thursday was more of the same. Minimal responses to her texts, didn't answer her calls. I wasn't being deliberately cruel. I was just creating distance. The same distance she'd been creating between us for months, except I was doing it intentionally. I met up with an old friend for drinks Thursday evening. We hadn't hung out in months. I'd been so wrapped up in the relationship that I'd neglected my friendships. We talked about work, about life, about nothing in particular. It reminded me what it felt like to have someone's full attention in a conversation. No phone checking, no distracted glances, just two people actually present with each other. You seem different, my friend said halfway through the night. More relaxed. Yeah, I said. I think I'm finally making some decisions I should have made months ago. Friday evening, she showed up at my apartment unannounced. I'd just gotten home from work, still in my work clothes, when I heard the knock. We need to talk, she said when I opened the door. Okay, can I come in? I stepped aside. She walked in, and I could see she'd been crying. Her makeup was smudged, eyes red and puffy. Part of me felt bad. The other part remembered all the times I'd felt dismissed or secondary to her ex. What's going on? She asked, sitting on my couch. Why are you shutting me out? I'm not shutting you out. I'm removing myself from the situation like I said I would. What does that even mean? It means I'm not going to be in a relationship where I'm constantly competing for my girlfriend's attention with her ex. You're not competing. I am though. Every time we're together, he's texting you. Every time we make plans, you mention something he said or something you did with him. You take his calls in the other room because what he's going through is personal. But you won't even consider how that makes me feel. I didn't realize it bothered you that much. I told you on Tuesday. You told me to accept it. I didn't mean I thought you were okay with it. You said, all right. I said all right to accepting that you won't cut him off. And I am accepting it. I'm just also accepting that this relationship isn't what I want. Her face went pale. You're breaking up with me? I'm choosing myself. You've been choosing him for months. I'm just finally making the same choice, putting myself first. That's not fair. I haven't been choosing him. He's just a friend who needs support right now. And I'm the boyfriend who's been patient and understanding while you prioritize that friendship over our relationship. But I'm done being patient. She started crying harder. Please don't do this. I love you. I'll talk to him less if that's what you want. That's not what I want. I want a partner who doesn't need to be asked to prioritize our relationship. I want someone who naturally understands that some boundaries are important, even with friends. I can do that. I will do that. You had months to do that. You didn't. And when I finally brought it up, you told me to accept it or basically implied I was being controlling. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Your response made it clear that maintaining your relationship with him was more important than addressing my concerns. She sat there crying for a few minutes. I didn't comfort her. I just waited. The silence stretched between us, filled only by her sniffling and the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. If that means I'm done with this relationship, then yes. She left shortly after. I closed the door behind her and felt this wave of relief wash over me, like I'd been holding my breath for months and could finally exhale. Update 3. The weekend was quiet. She texted sporadically, messages that swung between apologetic and accusatory. I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Followed hours later by, you're being unreasonable. I'm allowed to have friends. I kept my responses brief and neutral when I responded at all. Saturday, I deep cleaned my apartment, found little reminders of her everywhere. A hair tie on the bathroom counter, her favorite mug in my cabinet, a book she'd been reading that she left on my nightstand. I boxed it all up methodically, without emotion. Just clearing space. Sunday, I went hiking alone. Something I used to do regularly before the relationship consumed all my free time. The trail was challenging, the air cold and crisp. At the summit, I sat on a rock and looked out at the view, and I felt genuinely content for the first time in months. Monday morning, one of her friends called me. I didn't answer, but she left a voicemail. Hey, I heard what happened. Look, I get it, but you should know she's really torn up about this. She genuinely didn't realize how much the situation with her ex was bothering you. Maybe give her another chance. I listened to the voicemail twice, then deleted it. I didn't call back. Tuesday, I got a long text from her. The gist was, she'd told her ex they needed to take a break from communicating so much. She was doing it for me to prove she could prioritize our relationship. Would I please reconsider? I replied, I appreciate that, but it doesn't change anything. You shouldn't have to be told to set those boundaries. They should have been there naturally. Her. People make mistakes. I'm trying to fix mine. Me, I understand, but I've made my decision. Her, because of him? Because I was friends with my ex? Me. Because when I expressed discomfort with the situation, you dismissed my feelings and told me to accept it instead of actually listening to me. That's not about him. That's about you and how you treated my concerns. She didn't respond after that. Wednesday evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hey, this is her ex's name. We need to talk. I almost laughed. The audacity. No, we don't. Look, man, I didn't know you two were having problems because of me. If I'd known, you knew she had a boyfriend. That should have been enough for you to maintain appropriate boundaries. We're just friends. Friends don't text at 11 o'clock at night multiple times a week. Friends don't require phone calls in other rooms because the conversation is too personal for their partner to hear. I was going through some stuff. And that's not my problem or my responsibility. You're her ex. You should have enough respect for her current relationship to keep your distance. She's the one who wanted to stay friends, and you could have said no. But you didn't because it benefited you to have her emotional support, without any of the commitment of actually being in a relationship with her. Silence on the other end. Stay away from me. I continued. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to talk about this. And honestly, I don't care what happens between you two anymore. That's no longer my concern. I hung up before he could respond, blocked the number immediately. Update 4, a week went by. Then 2. She stopped texting as frequently. When she did, it was usually late at night. I miss you. I messed up. Can we please talk? I didn't respond to any of them. I focused on myself, hit the gym regularly, reconnected with friends I'd neglected, started reading again, something I'd always loved but somehow stopped doing during the relationship. Every night before bed, I'd read for an hour, and it felt like reclaiming a part of myself I'd forgotten existed. 3 weeks after our breakup, a mutual friend reached out. We grabbed coffee on a Saturday morning at this place we used to frequent before I got too wrapped up in my relationship. So, she said, stirring her latte. I heard about you two. Yeah. Want to talk about it? Not really. But I'm guessing you have something to tell me. She gave me a knowing look. She's spending a lot of time with him. Her ex? Makes sense. You're not bothered? Why would I be? I removed myself from the situation. What she does now isn't my concern. I just thought you should know. In case you were thinking about getting back together. I'm not. She seems to think there's still a chance. Then she's not paying attention. My friend sighed, taking a long sip of her coffee. For what it's worth, I think you made the right call. She's been different since he came back into her life. Not in a good way. How so? Just unavailable. Always on her phone. Ditching plans if he needs something. It's like she can't see how much she's prioritizing him over everyone else. That was my experience, yeah. I tried talking to her about it once. She got defensive, said everyone was being judgmental and didn't understand their friendship. Classic. A few of us have noticed. Her whole friend group has been talking about it. She's canceling plans last minute, showing up late when she does come, spending half the time on her phone. It's affecting all her relationships, not just yours. That detail stuck with me. It wasn't just about me. She was doing this to everyone in her life, prioritizing this one person over all her other relationships. We finished our coffee and caught up on other things. It was nice to talk about something other than my failed relationship. She told me about her new job, about a trip she was planning, about normal life, things that felt refreshing after weeks of emotional heaviness. Update 5. A month after the breakup, she called me. It was a Tuesday evening, around 8 o'clock. I was cooking dinner, actually enjoying the process of trying a new recipe without interruptions, when my phone rang. I saw her name and hesitated, then answered mostly out of curiosity. Hey, she said softly. How are you? I'm good. You? I've been better. Long pause. I didn't fill the silence. I wanted to tell you something. Okay. You were right. About him. About everything. What happened? We tried dating again. After you and I broke up, it lasted about 2 weeks before I realized why we broke up in the first place. He's selfish. Everything is always about him, and his problems and his needs. I was so focused on being there for him that I didn't see how one-sided it was. I'm sorry you went through that. Are you though? Honestly. I thought about that. Yeah. I am. I don't wish bad things for you. I just couldn't be in a relationship where I wasn't a priority. I understand that now. I was taking you for granted. I thought you'd always be there, so I didn't have to work as hard to maintain our relationship. That's usually how it goes. The moment we started dating, he was different. All that vulnerability, all those late-night conversations about his problems, they stopped. Suddenly, he didn't need my support anymore. He had what he wanted, and I realized that's all it was for him. He wanted the validation of me choosing him. I'm sure that was hard to realize. It was. And then I thought about you. About how you were always there, always supportive, never needing constant validation or reassurance. You were just solid, reliable. And I mistook that for boring. Is there any chance? No. I said firmly, but not unkindly. There's not. Because of what I did? Because of who you showed me you are. When I expressed my concerns, you dismissed them. You chose your ex over me repeatedly. And the only reason you're calling now is because things didn't work out with him. I'm not a backup plan. That's not. I genuinely realized I made a mistake. You made several mistakes. But the biggest one was not respecting my feelings when I tried to communicate them. That's not something I can overlook. She was quiet for a moment. I really did love you. Maybe. But you didn't respect me. And without respect, love isn't enough. Can we at least be friends? No. I don't think that would be healthy for either of us. I understand. Another long pause. I hope you find someone who appreciates you. I appreciate myself now. That's enough for the moment. We said our goodbyes. And I hung up feeling oddly peaceful. Like that was the closure neither of us knew we needed. I went back to cooking, finished my dinner, and ate it while watching a documentary I'd been meaning to see. Simple, uncomplicated. Mine. Final update. It's been 3 months since the breakup. I'm doing well. Better than well, actually. I've been going out more. Reconnecting with friends I'd neglected during the relationship. I started a new hobby, got into rock climbing, which is both physically challenging and mentally therapeutic. There's something about the focus required, the problem-solving aspect of finding the right route, that clears my mind completely. I joined a climbing gym and go 3 times a week. Made some friends there. One of them invited me to a group trip next month to an outdoor climbing spot. I said yes without hesitation. Old me would have checked with my girlfriend first, made sure it didn't conflict with her plans, considered whether she'd be upset about me going away for a weekend. New me just said yes because I wanted to go. I heard through the grapevine that she and her ex aren't together. Apparently, they tried dating twice after we broke up, and it fell apart both times for the same reasons it didn't work before. Some people never learn. According to mutual friends, she's been struggling with the aftermath, realizing that she burned multiple bridges, not just ours, for someone who was never really that invested in her. I've been on a few dates, nothing serious yet, but I'm not rushing into anything. I'm being more intentional about what I want and what I won't tolerate. Boundaries are non-negotiable now. If someone can't respect them, I'm out. No discussion. No second chances for fundamental issues. Met someone recently who seems promising. She's a graphic designer, funny, smart, has her own life and interests. We've been on 3 dates so far. What I appreciate most is how present she is. When we're together, her phone stays in her purse. She asks questions and actually listens to the answers. She talks about her ex occasionally. They dated years ago and had an amicable split. But it's always in past tense with clear boundaries. That's what healthy looks like. A friend asked me recently if I regretted how I handled things. We were at a barbecue, a few beers in, and he just came out with it. Do you think you should have tried harder, given her more chances? I thought about it. No. I communicated my concerns clearly. She made her choice. And I made mine. I removed myself from a situation that wasn't serving me. There's no regret in choosing yourself. That's pretty mature of you. It wasn't maturity. It was self-preservation. I just got tired of being an option instead of a priority. Last week I ran into her at a mutual friend's party. It was brief. A polite hello. A quick catch-up. Nothing substantial. She seemed okay. I was okay. We were both okay, just separately. And that's probably how it should have been all along. She looked different. Tired, maybe. Or just older. She asked how I'd been. And I gave her the abbreviated version. Work's good, picked up rock climbing, keeping busy. She told me she'd been doing some soul searching, going to therapy, trying to work on herself. I told her that was good, that I was glad she was taking care of herself, and I meant it. The thing about removing yourself from a toxic situation is that people don't realize how serious you are until you're already gone. She thought I was bluffing, thought I'd fight for her, chase her, beg her to choose me over her ex. But I didn't. I just quietly stepped back and let her figure out what she really wanted. By the time she realized what she'd lost, I'd already moved on. And that's not revenge or spite. That's just the natural consequence of taking someone for granted. Life goes on. I'm building something better now. Something that's just mine. And when I do eventually let someone in again, they'll understand from day one that I'm not the type to compete for attention or settle for being second place. I'm too old for that. I've learned my worth, and I'm not negotiating on it anymore. That conversation in her apartment, when she told me to accept her relationship with her ex, was the best thing that could have happened. It showed me exactly who she was and what she prioritized. And it gave me the clarity to walk away with my head held high. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just remove yourself from the equation. No drama, no big confrontation, no trying to change someone's mind. Just a quiet exit and the refusal to be treated as less than you deserve. She understands now what I meant when I said I'd remove myself. And honestly, I hope she takes that lesson into her next relationship. I hope she learns to appreciate people while she has them. I hope she sets better boundaries with exes and understands that some friendships aren't worth maintaining if they cost you better relationships. But that's not my concern anymore. I remove myself and I'm better for it. I wake up every morning without that knot in my stomach. I go through my day without checking my phone anxiously. I make plans without wondering if she'll cancel because he needs something. I'm just free. And that feeling is worth more than any relationship that makes you question your worth. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.